It's become incredibly difficult to get anyone to speak on camera for this story, largely due to the growing fear spreading through our justice system. In recent weeks, President Trump has issued executive orders targeting several law firms, with the potential to dismantle them entirely. This is significant because legal action has long served as a crucial check on presidential power. Now, many firms and attorneys are finding themselves in the crosshairs. One of them is Mark Elias, a longtime critic of Trump and the only attorney personally named by the president who was still willing to speak with NEXO Stories. Elias, along with others in the legal field, is raising serious concerns that Trump's attacks on the legal profession pose a grave threat to the rule of law. According to Elias, it all started with a deeply personal grudge held by the president.
Donald Trump despises me because I fiercely advocate for free and fair elections. I'm committed to defending democracy in the courtroom, standing up for voting rights, and speaking the truth about the results of the 2020 election.
Do you face any risks because of the work you're doing?
I'd be foolish not to be concerned. But the real question is, what do you do about it? Do you hide in fear? Do you vanish from the fight? Do you abandon democracy to survive on its own? Or do you rise to the challenge, show up every day, defend your clients, and do everything in your power to uphold the rule of law?
Mark Elias first came into conflict with Trump in 2016 when he served as the lead attorney for Hillary Clinton's campaign. Then in 2020, as Trump and his allies contested the election results, Elias battled them in court and won. Trump has since labeled him a thug.
Donald Trump represents everything that's broken within the American political system. So when he calls me unethical or accuses me of opposing his vision for the country, I take it as a sign that I'm on the right path.
Elias was on Trump's radar this past March, along with another attorney who had previously conducted an investigation into the former president.
With the backing of extremists like Mark Elias and Mark Pomerantz individuals, the likes of which we've rarely seen along with many others, they attempted to transform America into a corrupt, communist-style, third-world nation, but in the end, their efforts failed, and the truth ultimately prevailed.
Starting in February, the president began issuing orders targeting various law firms. Let me take a moment to appreciate this. 6 firms in 6 weeks, including the one where Mark Elias previously worked. Each of these firms was linked to investigations or legal matters involving Trump or his associates, including Robert Mueller's 2017 investigation into Russian election interference, efforts to overturn the 2020 election, and the alleged mishandling of classified documents.
It's truly an honor to sign this. What they've done is absolutely disgraceful.
The targeted law firms described the president's orders as a corporate death sentence and warned that such actions should never be repeated. The directives aimed to ban attorneys from their workplaces, federal courthouses, and agencies, while also threatening to terminate government contracts held by the firm's clients. For instance, an aerospace company risked losing federal contracts simply for continuing to work with one of the firms. A senior partner called the president's actions diabolical, saying they were designed to drive them into bankruptcy. Within hours, major clients began threatening to sever ties, and within days, some of the most prestigious and powerful law firms in the country began to fold under the pressure. In a surprising turn for the legal world, 9 prominent law firms approached the White House seeking a deal. According to some sources, the pressure didn't come from an official directive, but rather from a warning message suggesting that a formal order was imminent.
It's an attempt to intimidate, much like how a mob boss threatens people in a neighborhood to extract protection money or carry out shady dealings. Essentially, these law firms are being warned. If you don't cooperate, something bad might happen to you.
The 9 firms did not acknowledge any wrongdoing, but collectively agreed to provide nearly $1 billion worth of legal services to causes endorsed by both the firms and Trump.
Our entire system of government is on the line. Attorney Donald understands this well. He argued cases before the Supreme Court on behalf of the Reagan administration and served as Deputy Attorney General under George H.W. Bush. That forms the core of their argument. Today, he's a professor at Georgetown Law. The notion that a president would issue executive or orders targeting a specific individual or organization, explicitly stating they are being punished for engaging in activities disapproved of by those in power, is entirely without precedent. No one, not even the president, has that authority. Absolutely not. While the president, as an elected official, has many powers, he does not have the right to undermine your ability to be represented by a lawyer of your choice by intimidating that lawyer with threats to their personal or professional livelihood.
America's legal community is now divided between those determined to fight and those who have chosen to settle. One of the firms that struck a deal with Trump was Skadden Arps, prompting attorney Brenna Frey to resign in protest.
I believe the message it sends to the nation is that power is all that counts. If you possess power, you can wield it any way you choose. And if that's the case, what's the point of having a legal system? Why even have law firms or lawyers?
You expected Skadden to stand their ground?
Definitely.
What made you believe that?
Because it's a core principle of the firm. We are committed to being passionate advocates for the law.
What made this matter so deeply to you that you felt compelled to resign?
The law firm is essentially signaling, we'll comply with the administration, we won't challenge them in court. And if they're unwilling to stand up on this issue, what else might they choose not to contest when it comes to the federal government?
In a message to its staff, Skadden Arps described the agreement with Trump as an extremely difficult decision, but one they believed was the most effective way to safeguard their clients, employees, and the firm itself.
I believe they're being naive if they think this will make the issue disappear.
Naive? Can you explain what you mean by that?
These agreements contain nothing that stops the president from issuing another executive order targeting the law firm in the future.
Someone has to take a stand because this is a direct assault on the very foundation of our judicial system. 4 firms have chosen to stand their ground and are challenging the matter in court. Judges have granted them temporary restraining orders for protection. According to law professor Donald Ayer, Trump's executive orders, in his opinion, violate constitutional rights, including free speech, due process, and the right to legal representation.
Everyone has the right to legal representation and the right to seek justice through the courts. It's something we've always taken for granted. Until now, when that very right is under threat.
If the president singles out a few particular law firms, the broader message to firms nationwide is clear: you're being warned.
I believe the message is, this could happen to you. It's a deliberate attempt to discourage vigorous legal advocacy when that advocacy leads to outcomes the administration doesn't approve of.
You're completely at the mercy of the government. It feels a lot like a protection racket. John Kecker, a well-known attorney and Democrat from San Francisco, doesn't mince words. When asked if he's actually accusing the president of running a protection racket, he responds, "I am." He goes on to say the president is breaking the fundamental rule that prohibits offering something of value in exchange for an official act, which is by definition bribery. If anyone else came to Washington and said, "I'll give you $100 million in free legal services if you do this for me," they'd be charged with bribery, he adds.
Kecker is working to rally law firms across the country to push back. So far, over 500 firms, both big and small, have joined the effort.
We don't need to share the same political views, but we must all agree that the legal profession has a duty to uphold the rule of law in this country. That requires lawyers and judges to remain independent from the executive branch. If the president succeeds in bringing the legal profession under his control, what kind of country are we left with? One without the rule of law, a dictatorship? That's exactly what happened in China and Russia. They have systems that appear legal on the surface, but in reality, they're dominated by authoritarian rule.
I just believe law firms need to conduct themselves responsibly.
A federal judge has characterized Trump's actions against the law firms as a personal vendetta. None of the firms he targeted have been charged with any crimes. Trump himself, however, was indicted by federal grand juries in cases related to the 2020 election and the alleged concealment of classified documents. He pleaded not guilty. Those federal cases were dismissed solely because he was reelected. Additionally, a state jury convicted him last year of falsifying business records, making him the first convicted felon to serve in the Oval Office.
I've been targeted for over 4 years, actually even longer. So don't lecture me about being targeted. I was the focus of corrupt politicians during my entire term, and even in the years that followed. So believe me, I know what targeting looks like.
In defense of Trump, government attorneys argue in court that his directives toward the law firms are meant to prevent taxpayer funds from backing illegal or questionable activities. Another legal filing claims the executive branch is simply exercising its right to choose its business partners, not retaliating against anyone. The administration also maintains that these actions fall well within the president's legitimate authority.
Well, those law firms are all eager to make deals. You mean the same firms that targeted me relentlessly for 4 years, ruthlessly, aggressively, and unlawfully? Is that who you're referring to? These aren't naive players. They're highly experienced and savvy. Those firms acted improperly. They pursued me for years over the so-called Russia scandal. It was all a hoax.
What Trump refers to as a hoax are the 2016 allegations of questionable ties between his campaign and Russia. He's correct that the FBI was unable to verify many of the claims, which were largely based on unconfirmed information. At least, one of those allegations was circulated in the media by representatives of the Clinton campaign, during which Mark Elias served as general counsel. In a memo issued 6 weeks ago, Trump cited Elias as an example of what he called grossly unethical behavior. The president has since instructed the Attorney General to pursue sanctions against any attorney who engages in what he deems to be unreasonable or vexatious legal action against the government, where unreasonable seems to be defined by the president himself. Are we approaching a point where someone brings a case that challenges the president of the United States, and the law firm has to stop and ask, do we really want to take this on?
We're already at that point. Law firms are choosing not to represent certain clients who might anger the administration or avoiding cases that could place them in its crosshairs.
What do we stand to lose if lawyers surrender their independence?
The rule of law is at stake, and that's exactly why the business community should be paying attention. Today, Donald Trump might believe he can control the election system through an executive order. Tomorrow, it could be the banking system. After that, perhaps he decides which contracts are valid and which aren't. The legal system is the backbone of our society and economy, and it's essential to the functioning of capitalism. Everyone has a vested interest in protecting it.
Conservative law professor Donald remains hopeful that the courts will overturn the president's orders. The real question, he told us, is whether Trump will comply with those rulings.
This is a significant moment. What's unfolding now marks an important new chapter in our history. To navigate it, we must rely on the values that have carried us this far.
In a late development Friday evening, a federal judge issued a permanent block on President Trump's order targeting one of the law firms, declaring it unconstitutional. It remains unclear whether the administration will file an appeal.